Okay, good evening. Welcome to
FamilyMath number 1032.
FamilyMath 1032. So this is a really neat modeling program I found on the internet today. It's made by a researcher at Harvard, and it's very interesting. You can change a lot of the parameters, and I just asked you to play around with it for about 10 minutes and tell me some of the things you thought were interesting.
Well, there's all these different things to just consider about like studying a virus. There's more than I would think.
Oh, really? Okay, so you were surprised by just how many different variables there were.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a lot of these. Let's see. There's intervention. There, you can like change how in the intervention works. Like you can change how effective it is. These down here, and then you can model just the spread and then the type of cases. Like there's 3 types of cases: mild, severe, and critical. And then this is like just capacity. Like this line at the bottom is how much space in the hospital there is, and then this is the predicted number of cases.
Okay. So what are some things that you learned or thought were interesting playing around with this model?
The incubation period changes.
Okay, so what is it that you changed here? What difference did you see when you made that change?
So this is increasing and decreasing, like how long someone would have the virus.
Okay. And what does it do when they have it for longer?
Well, they can infect more people.
Okay.
Actually, the actual numbers don't seem to be changing. It's just as you shift this farther and farther, just seems like this crossover happens later and later.
Okay.
So
and so what's crossing over there? The infected?
The susceptible.
Okay. And
the
recovered. I see. So what does that mean then, if that's crossing over later?
So that means the number of people that are susceptible to getting it decreases slower if the virus is held for longer.
Okay, does that make sense, or is that confusing?
Well, it's sort of the opposite of what I would think, because if you have it for longer, you can infect more people, so the infection should spread sooner rather than later.
Interesting, okay. Well, all right, so that's interesting. So when you have a model, excuse me, when you have a model that's predicting a spread or a change in spread, and it doesn't correspond to sort of what you thought, now you have to go back and study a little bit why that's happening. Did you find anything else in this model besides changing the incubation period that you thought was interesting?
Well, changing the death rate for the critical infections, actually, when the number of infections was lower, it didn't impact it a whole lot. It impacted it like slightly. If you make it like 90, it rises by about maybe 2.5%, but if you increase the number of infections that are critical, it really starts to impact it.
Oh, okay. So what happens
if we raise this to 50%, this becomes 45%. So sort of proportionate to what these are. These two can really infect it, or affect it, not infect.
Okay, so why do you think that happens? So why? So you said when the percent of infections that are critical is low, then the death rate doesn't seem to matter that much. But when the percent of infections that are critical is high, the death rate matters a lot. Why do you think that's true?
I mean, if there's less critical infections, then even if the death rate is very high, it won't affect the overall death rate or case fatality ratio that much.
Okay. So when the number of infections that are critical is low, then it just means there aren't as many people with critical infections.
Yeah.
But when the number of infections that's critical that is high, and also a lot of people are dying, that means really a lot of people are dying.
Yeah.
Okay, so did you think this was interesting?
I do, yeah.
Do you think it was easy to use?
Yeah, it was. You just easily adjust the sliders to make it sort of simulate how you want.
Cool, yeah, so no, I thought this was really neat. All right, let's let your brother talk about what he saw.